Welcome back to the Tracy Take. Today, Ryan and I will be previewing the Week 12 Sunday Night Football divisional matchup between the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. But before we get into that, make sure you subscribe to our channel if you have not already. Hit that notification bell so you can see when we create new content. Like this video, comment on this video, let us know who you think is going to win, any key X factors that are playing in this game. And Ryan, that being said, let's get into it. So we were going back and forth, preview on who we think is going to dominate this game. I have one team. You have the other team. Who do you think is going to? Sorry. Let me rephrase that. Is that
I was
you
say, I didn't say
didn't
that they
think?
would dominate.
Sorry. All right, fine. Then I'll start. I think that the Ravens are going to dominate this game. If you look at the Browns' offense, they over the past 6 weeks only had one game where they scored over 17 points, and that was their dominant win against Cincinnati Bengals, which I think was kind of an anomaly because in that game they only had 360 yards. They had a pick six. They had an explosive run and an explosive pass play. Other than that, didn't really seem like they did too much, and the Bengals never really got their footing together either. They was that was leading them into their bye. But ever since then, their offense has been in a clear stall. They've had some running back injuries between Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. That hasn't been too big of an issue because Dearness Johnson was able to save the day against the Denver Broncos. Not so much, unfortunately, against your New England Patriots, which I know you enjoyed watching. But the big thing for me is that passing game. That passing game to me is not good. They seem out of sorts. They don't really have a serious receiver threat. And I'm not even saying, and I'm not trying to bring in the OBJ argument at all. Even when he was there, even when he was healthy and playing well, he didn't really seem to be very effective. I think that's going to be the biggest issue because the Ravens have a clear weakness in the passing game. They're 31st overall on passing yards allowed on defense with 281 yards per game. And I think they're going to shut down all of the Browns' receiving weapons, honestly. And I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball nearly as effectively because they have the second-ranked run defense in yards allowed per game.
Yeah. I agree with you. I don't think that the Browns' offensive matchup is relatively favorable. However, I think the Browns are much more balanced on the defensive side of the ball than the Ravens are. So one of the things that I think if the Browns can do is if they can establish somewhat of a run game and they can really bring that safety down, I think they still have somewhat of enough weapons. Hold on. Sorry, I'm about to sneeze. And it's gone. But apparently that's bad for you or something. I don't know. But I think if the Browns can establish somewhat of a run game, I think that bodes really well in their favor because for the first time, I think in the last few weeks, the Browns are really going to play a team that they can throw the ball against. I mean, Steelers, Bengals, Patriots all have pretty decent secondaries. And actually, the Lions' set passing defense is supposed to be pretty good.
That's horrible.
So I think the Browns will be able to move the ball fairly well. I think with Nick Chubb back there, that's definitely a huge help. Because honestly, sometimes all he needs is just one big run, and he can blow a game wide open. So I don't think that Baltimore will just absolutely dominate this game. I do like Baltimore to win this game. I think they definitely have the best chance to win this game. But I think Cleveland is built for a team like this. I think getting their linebackers and edge defenders out in space is what they live for. And honestly, I think you build your team to win the division, and that's kind of what Cleveland has done. Is that they've built a really athletic defense that can get after mobile quarterbacks. So I'm really interested to see this matchup.
Yeah. So my biggest thing is, and this is going to be interesting because I look at that New England Patriots game, and I think that there are some similarities here. The only real main difference, in my opinion, on the offensive side of the ball is the fact that Mac Jones is not as mobile of a receiver, as mobile of a QB as Lamar Jackson. Both teams have a kind of running back by committee and absolutely dominated that Cleveland Browns rushing defense. Both don't really have a. I mean, they have their go-to guys. I would say Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews might be a little bit more household names, a little bit more prolific, but still, there's still other guys that Lamar Jackson is able to throw it to, and they have a well-balanced receiving core, and so do the Patriots. And
Yeah.
they were just able to spread the ball around and just absolutely torch that uh, Browns defense. And that's where I think the Ravens are just going to just be putting up points and points against this team. Ever that Dolphins was it Thursday night? Yeah, Thursday night matchup when that offense was atrocious. They were going to come in hot against the Chicago Bears team, but both Marquise Brown and Lamar Jackson were out with
Mhm.
illnesses. And so I think that they know how big this matchup is. There's only a one game difference between these two teams. The Ravens want to keep their division lead. I think the Ravens are going to come in and just kind of control the game because I think the Browns have had some issues, especially defensively on the road this year. They well, I shouldn't say that. I'd say they've been inconsistent because you hold the Vikings to 7 points in week 4, and they give up
Yeah.
47 to the Chargers the next week, both on the road. Then hold the Bengals to
Yeah.
16, and then give up
Yeah.
45 to the Patriots. So uh, maybe inconsistent on the road might be the best way to say that.
Yeah, and I do think that the Browns definitely have their struggles. However, I look at that Miami game, and you said that they were going to come in hot to Chicago, and I think that had more to do with Chicago's defense being banged up than the actual Ravens offense. I mean, if we go back to that game, let me pull up the stats really fast, but I think this Browns defense is much better than the Dolphins defense, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they held Lamar Jackson to uh, 26 of 43, 238 yards, and one touchdown, one interception. And Lamar Jackson was also their leading rusher for 9 carries for 39 yards. And I
Which
think
game
that
is
this
this?
Cleveland defense, this is the Miami game.
Oh, okay.
And I think they can really this Cleveland Browns defense can really do something similar. I think the New England game and the
Mm-hmm.
Chargers game were a slight anomaly.
Well, it's not that I don't think that the Browns can. It's just I think it's just a level of consistency. We have seen this Browns team
Mhm.
not not play consistently, especially we see on the road. So I mean they can, but I'm saying I think given the scenario and given where each team is at, I think the Ravens are going to come in Sunday night football primetime game. I think that their offense is going to be clicking, especially after their last primetime performance. And I think Lamar Jackson and company are just going to have a game against this Browns defense. And I say that because I think
Yeah.
they're going to put up 31 points against this team. The Ravens have been consistently able to do that against solid teams, against solid defenses, and when Lamar Jackson and Marquise Brown are playing. I think they're going to do the same thing against the Browns this week. I mean, I guess it depends on how you define a blowout, but I was thinking something more like a 31-17 type game. Because then if you combine that with how good the Ravens' rushing defense is, where they're second overall, I don't think the Browns are going to be nearly as effective running the ball as they would like to be. And then if they get behind,
Mhm.
they're going to have to start throwing. I just don't think that's going to paint a good picture, or that's going to be a good outcome for the
Yeah.
Browns when
Yeah.
that situation happens.
I don't know if I'm just looking at it in a weird way, but I I just don't see the extreme potency on offense. Like Minnesota's defense, they put up 30. The Baltimore put up 34 against them, but Minnesota's defense is lackluster. Uh, they only put up 10 against the Dolphins, and honestly, the Dolphins have a slightly above average defense. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Well,
and
one of the things though for me is that if you look at Minnesota, they have the sixth ranked rushing defense, and now this is as of now, but as of then they also had a good rushing defense then, and
mhm,
they put up 247 rushing yards against the Vikings. Combine that with 253 passing yards, so it's almost as balanced as you can be, and
yeah,
I think the Browns' uh, rushing defense is equivalent to that, and I just think that combined with how effective Lamar Jackson and company has been passing the ball, I just think it's going to be too much for that Browns defense. And
See,
then on top of that, the Browns
I
aren't
still
going to
think the
be able
Browns
to
defense.
respond offensively.
Yeah. Well, okay. So one of the things too is Cleveland gave up a, excuse my French, but a shitload of rushing yards to the Patriots, and they're still the
Hmm.
seventh best rushing defense in the league. So because they were number one rushing defense in the league coming into that game,
Yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
Minnesota completely fell
Yeah.
off. Like their rushing defense has not been the same since that since that point. I really think Cleveland is
Yeah.
gonna give this rushing game some fits. I think they're very similar, not very, but fairly similar to the Dolphins team. I actually think this game could
Hmm.
be relatively low scoring. Uh, and so you picked the Ravens 31-17. I'm gonna pick the Browns partially just for fun, but I really think that the Browns are going to come in. This is a primetime division game. I think they have something to prove. I think this defense
Hmm.
has had a rough couple of weeks, but they are still so talented that I just don't think it's really going to matter. I'm going
Yeah.
to pick the Browns. I'm going to say 17 13. I think they're going to hold them to a couple field goals. Uh,
Okay. Okay. So you're
and,
going for a
and, and
more
I'm going to
lower scoring game.
Yeah, I did. I because I think the Browns' offense definitely has troubles. I think they're going to try and run
Yeah.
the ball, establish the run, and then do play action pass through that. That is a
Hmm.
recipe for a low scoring game. And I think when teams have shown Baltimore that they can stop the run,
Yeah.
uh, that offense slightly stalls. And so I think that is going to be the case in this game. I think it's funny that we predicted like complete opposites, but
Well, and hey, but
that's just kind of
that's
how
the
I see it.
beauty of this, though. That's the beauty
Yeah.
of it is we'll be able to see who's right, and we'll be able to watch the game while drinking a nice cold brewski,
Oh yeah.
and then the other one will be apologizing and saying you were right, not apologizing, but just saying no, okay, I was wrong, you were right, and this one come week 12 review. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but
But
that being said, though, it is. I know we're going back and forth on who's going to win, but we haven't really talked about the crucialness. I don't even know if that's a word, but the how big of a game this is for both
yeah.
teams involved. The Browns need this to help keep their playoff hopes alive. Ravens want to help and secure their division lead in a super tight division. Like at this point
Mhm.
in the season, and this will be just my final thought, just on how big this game is. The Browns are fourth. They are last in the division. And if I'm not mistaken, I think ninth in the playoff hunt, 10th in the playoff hunt at 6-5. So they lose this
Yeah.
game. It's only going to be that much more difficult coming home with a lot of tough division games coming in. Uh,
Yeah.
and with the Ravens as
If
well,
they
they
lose
don't
this
want
game,
to
I think that pretty much does it for them. I think anyway.
potentially. It's
Because
going to
you also
be
got to
a
think they don't
it's going
have
to
a
be a
wild
big game.
card. They don't have the wild card tiebreaker with New England, Kansas City,
Hmm.
or Los Angeles.
Hmm.
Or
Yeah,
right now, I think they have it with Cincinnati, but then they also wouldn't have it with Baltimore either. So
yeah.
I think it'll definitely be. This is a huge game to watch. This is a perfect Sunday night matchup. Uh, but
Hmm.
yeah, I don't really have too much else to add. Do you have anything else?
No, nothing here.
Okay. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Tracy Take Then. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification so we can send you a message every time we post a video. And put down in the comments who you think is right on this argument. Are the Browns going to come out on top, or are the Ravens going to win in dominating fashion? So, with that being said, I think that is going to do it for this episode, and we will see you guys next time.